Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the stepson of Krypton,
I'm Mantis.
and today we are discussing All In's newest series starting Superman Unlimited #1, The Dawn of the Emerald Era. Mantis,
What could that mean?
right? I think of two things when I'm thinking Emerald, right?
Yeah. At least two. Yeah.
Well, three. I'll give you three. All right.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into those right after this commercial break. Okay, guys. So as we said before the commercial break, All In Comics has released another new series of Superman kicking off, continuing with the Summer of Superman. So we have Superman Unlimited. Now, here's the kind of weird thing, Mantis, and I don't know what your thoughts on it. Like, so we had the Summer of Superman #1, the Superman special, right? That we did a video on. You'll see it down there.
Mm-hmm.
And it did kind of, I feel like, the same that this one has done, and we won't go into it yet because we're going to break down this issue. But like, where are these going, right? Like, I feel like, I don't know, are all these supposed to be separate universes that are going to eventually tie in together? It's like, what is happening? I have some theories on it. We're going to discuss those, but go right ahead.
No, I agree. It's almost like we just got an origin story of Superman with the special. I thought that one was going to kind of branch into its own thing. This one, I can't talk about why I think this one's going to continue on, or maybe not necessarily continue on is the right word, but I think what happens in this issue is going to affect things moving forward in other comic books in the All In universe here. So,
well, now we know the Summer of Superman special, that one does mention the Justice League Unlimited stuff, though we know those two are tied together. However, this one, it's a little bit of a mystery, so we're going to go ahead and get on into it, and maybe we can solve it by the end of it.
Yeah.
You want to lead off?
Yeah. So, again, brand new start of a Superman run here. Beginning of this issue starts out with the Daily Planet's last day, so to speak. They're kind of expanding into other cities, so it's not like Daily Planet's going away. It's actually expanding.
You said that like it is, though, right?
Yeah,
like, it's last day.
The current iteration. The current iteration of the Daily Planet, the way it's currently set up, is its last day because they have a new owner, Imani Edge, the divorced wife of Morgan Edge, decided to run the conglomerate as it is now because, like I said, they're spreading them into other cities. And so
interesting to note that they say every other major city, and they mention Gotham and Themyscira.
Yeah, Themyscira was a weird one. I was like, okay, so in this,
didn't realize they were a big city. I mean, like,
apparently they are.
That's gonna have news, but I thought that was cool. Sorry.
Yeah. No, definitely. Because I didn't note that in my notes. And so during the introductions, she's saying, blah blah blah, and Lois is there as well as Kat, and Clark is there, and he hears, he hears some, he's using his super hearing, hears some nonsense going on. So cuts to a chase scene. Some cops are chasing some robbers down. You see Superman.
I want to mention one thing in that chase scene. He says on the page there, we need backup 78th and Donner, right? So Richard Donner, little Easter egg right there. Yeah. I thought that was cool that they kind of threw that in there because we're going to get a little more, at least what I feel like, as Mantis goes through this a little more, kind of more hints towards that Superman. But please continue.
Yeah. So he catches up, and they're driving. You see him whiz by, and he ends up catching the two robbers there. And the funny thing is, he's one of the robbers is thanking Superman for saving. Was it Star City from
Titano?
From Titano, yeah, big old giant ape. And realistically, he was thanking him for saving his aunt. The next couple of pages, Superman's going around saving people. One saves a plane, which I thought was funny because they have on the oxygen mask, but they're not like connected to anything. So I don't know what that's gonna do. Makes them calm as Hindu cows, I'm guessing.
I was about to say oxygen masks too high.
You know why they put oxygen masks on planes? So you can breathe. Oxygen gets you high.
Yeah. And then saves the plane. He goes and saves a little kid that had fell or jumped into an exhibit with a lion at the zoo.
We got to
Saves some
prevent another
sailors.
Harambe.
Yeah, Harambe. Yeah, it saves a couple of sailors that their boat had a hole in it, a pretty big hole. Maybe it ran over something. Saves them, and then he's flying around and there's some girl just like singing in a park. Looks like she's busking, and he comes down and tips her, and it's like, "Oh, I can hear you." Obviously, you can hear everything, so he's enjoying her musical lullabies there.
Well, and he says, I listen to every new song. And this is what I mean when I talk about like the Richard Donner original Superman, Christopher Reeve Superman is like, we see in the original movie, he does that, right? He stops the kidnappers on that boat, he stops the bank robber, but then he rescues the cat from the tree to give to the girl, right? It's those little things.
All right. Here you go, miss.
Gee, thanks, mister. Mommy, Mommy! Frisky was stuck in the tree. This man swooped out of the sky and gave him to me.
Haven't I told you to stop telling lies?
That makes Superman. Now, to be fair, he gets that little girl smacked right in the face because the mom thinks she's lying. But it's those little things that we don't worry about the repercussions of his action. It's the little things like that that make Superman Superman. Right? That's what I love.
No, I agree. I mean, even in I want to say, was it Superman 2 where Zod has got the bus and he's like gonna smash it with all the people in there? I think and Superman's like, no, stop, there's people in there, right? Like that. I'm gonna get into a tirade. We'll leave it at there. So the next scene here, you see Superman as he's just had left the busker, gets some noise from Watchtower contacting him that there's an asteroid headed to Earth that they couldn't for whatever reason detect. It's made up. I think it's made up of this pure inertron, I think is what he said, what Red Tornado said. Pure inertron, I think is what it was. So he's going up and he flies towards it. And, he's like, this is all that matters. I've got to save humanity. So he goes, yeah, go ahead.
Quick, I wanted to throw a couple other points there. I think it's interesting that we still see Red Tornado in charge of, he's the basically Watchtower AI, because we know in the Justice League Unlimited, Red Tornado is that for the Watchtower.
Yes.
And it is interesting to note that metal, like, and he even says in there, like, that metal won't, like, it's not ever actually used, mined, anything on Earth until the 31st century.
Right. So possibly, well, it's weird, from the future. They mentioned like it shouldn't be here at this point.
Yeah, that's why the sensors couldn't pick it up.
Yeah. So he goes up there and he's got to stop it. He's the only one that can stop it at this point, because everyone, for whatever reason, again, everyone else is doing other stupid shit. Huge asteroid coming towards Earth. Everyone else is busy, I guess, with other important stuff that's not something to save humanity. So he goes, barrels towards it, crashes right into it to stop it. But he finds out that Inertron is just a shell encasing a massive asteroid made of kryptonite. So when it burst open, he immediately feels those effects and is kind of, falling back like, oh God, I'm hurt a little bit, but I think I'm all right. So, he's freaking out and he's kind of stunned, figures out where he's trying to figure out kind of where this is going to land. Right. Cause he needs to, I don't think he can't blow it up. He can't stop it. He's trying to, well, maybe I can put it
slow
off
it
course
down and
something. Yeah. And, he realizes it's going to land at Rio de Janeiro. Cause you get to see a little paint of the world famous Jesus on top of the mount there. He's standing out like that. So you obviously know. Yep.
T-pose? T-pose.
And there's people looking up and looking at it. They're staring up. They can't see it at that point, but he barrels forward. He's like, I've got to stop it. So he goes and grabs on it. And when he starts to like try to shift it, that's when you start seeing these flashbacks. And we mentioned this is it's the first issue of a new Superman run, so of course there's going to be origin stuff in here, right? So he's remembering all of these things. He's remembering Jor-El and his mother, and he's remembering his planet exploding and his journey to Earth and seeing Ma and Pa and all these things, and growing up. And also he sees a vision of Clark teaming up with other superheroes, and Legion of Superheroes is exactly what the wording is on the page. And they don't say who they are. To me, it is Justice League. It's foreshadowing Justice League stuff there. And he's remembering again. I don't even know if he says his life is flashing before his eyes. I think it does. I can't remember.
It doesn't, because that's what's happening. Like, he sees his school days, which I got kind of Smallville vibes from that, because
Yes.
we see Lex, even though Lex is their age and that, but it's cool that they were actually, he went to school with Lex, even close in age to Smallville. I kind of got those vibes from that, but also I like that basically he was known as Superboy in Smallville. Right. Now, of course, I didn't know him, but there was a Superboy, because then it comes into like, hey, the Superboy from your hometown became Superman, right? Because that's what Clark was in his hometown. Nobody really knew. He just came up with lame excuses.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you get that backstory there of Lex being kind of, I won't say he wasn't necessarily bullied. I mean, I wouldn't call it bullied. He was just kind of left out. I guess some people would say that's bullying, but he was left out of the group and maybe contributed to Lex's antisocial behavior, psychotic future behavior there. Anyway, but he's seeing some other things too. And you get to see the Daily Planet, him getting a job there, Force of Solitude, creating that meeting, Jimmy, Lois. You also see again Lex there getting jealous when Superman shows up in Metropolis, because he's now not the top dog, and but he does figure out he can. He figures out he's an alien, and that he could also use kryptonite is his weakness essentially there. So then it flashes back, and he's still up against or flashes to the present, I should say. And he's pressed up against that asteroid, and he's like, okay, I think I found a place in the ocean that can splash down. And it shows like a couple of people on a dinghy, which is...
I think he said, didn't it say 37? Is like the fishing village was like 37 people?
Yeah, 37 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, 37 people. Look, dude. And so then he's like, I've got to move it somewhere else. So he goes back up again.
That's Superman,
It is to me, and that's why we're flawed human being mortals, right? Like Superman is like, I can't let one person die. You mentioned it. He couldn't let a cat. He had to save a cat from a tree, right? He tries to save everyone he can. So he goes back in, and he's going to move it again, and then it goes into more flashbacks, seeing more of his life flash before his eyes. He sees himself proposing to Lois, his fight with Doomsday, where he dies, and then comes back. Due to all the Kryptonian science that is learned therein. He sees him getting married, having his son, Jonathan, and you see Krypto, him growing up with a family, and then boom, it cuts again back to the present, and he's got his hand, and he's desperately trying. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, these issues, even the Summer of Superman special, all of them are pushing Krypto hard. Krypto everywhere in them.
Yeah, for sure. Krypto shows up a couple times throughout this issue, and yeah, so he's trying to stop this asteroid again at the very last second. He's thinking, this is my last, hurrah, so to speak. Be good, people of Earth. Tell my family I love them. All the he's doing the what's his name on the speech that he's doing on that Bruce Willis does on Armageddon.
Oh yeah,
can't remember. He's like, "Tell my family I love you, Gracie, I love you," blah blah, blah. And then he pushes back.
Gracie, press it.
Essentially, that's what's going on here. He's trying to stop the asteroid, and then he can't because it kaboom crashes down. You see this massive explosion that he's caught up in, and then it cuts, and he is alive in bed, which again Krypto shows up and he's happy to see him, but he doesn't know what's going on. He's in a hospital bed.
That got me scenes from the movie trailer where like she's like, you have a dog, and Krypto's just laying on him.
So he's laying in there, Krypto's jumping on him, and he's trying to realize how long he's been out. He's like, I've been out a couple weeks, right? And then they're like, no, you've been out for like 3 months. and John Jones comes in and he's telling him, he's like, well, you were out, I had to kind of fill in as you, right? Like he had to
He had to bang
shape shift.
Lois, you know.
Yeah,
Like, somebody had to do
yeah, yeah, exactly. So the world doesn't know that Superman was almost dead there. They assume he's still going around helping people, because John was filling in for him there. All the other superheroes there that's on the Watchtower come in and are excited, and they're like, "Yeah, go blue," and blah blah blah. Good job, except for one, and that's Batman, who is constantly. I feel like I'm like have the demeanor of Batman. I can't. I'm so pessimistic. Like that's just my outlook on life. So if I was a superhero, I probably would be Batman. And he comes up and he's telling me, he's like, "There's something you need to see from the time that you've been gone." And he's showing him on the screens, and he's like, "What is it?" And that's when he's like, he says, "Great Row." I thought that was funny.
Great Scott.
Yeah, great row. Yeah. And then it cuts to this scene of this futuristic. I don't want to say it's kind of supposed to be a copy of oh shit, what's the Black
Kandor?
Panther city?
Oh,
No.
Wakanda.
Wakanda. It kind of reminds me of Wakanda in the sense that because that meteor made of kryptonite, or asteroid made of kryptonite, came down, and now people are using kryptonite. It's everywhere. It's changed the global economy practically overnight in 3 months, which is bullshit. That would never happen. But essentially, that's what's happened here. It's Superman is waking up to a whole new reality, and you get to see his son Jonathan as well as Kara. They're kind of fucked up a little bit when he sees them. They come in and they're kind of beaten up.
And they said they've been struggling, it's been a new whole, and I'm like, it's been 3 months, man. Like,
yeah. So they're trying to, this new reality. Superman is now, there's kryptonite everywhere, and they're not as powerful as they once were because of that. And he's like, how did you survive all of this? And they flip on this light, and it shows, well, 3 months a mountain of kryptonite fell on you. You should have been completely atomized, destroyed. And it's like, this is how you survived. And when he turns on that light, you see that he's glowing gold. And that's where I
immediately thought Superman 1 million.
Did you? Okay.
Immediately
I was
went
like,
to Superman 1 million.
I was like, I don't know what is happening here, but now I'm intrigued. And that's where the issue ends. So, yeah, what was your thoughts on aside from, can we just not talk about the flashback stuff? Let's just
All right, we'll skip the flashbacks there because you know how Mantis loves skipping any origins. So we already know his origins because it's all the same shit. I mean, even in this issue, it's all the same stuff that Superman normally does. But like, so again, I'm wondering how this kind of ties in because again, we see the crypto, we see these things. So I'm like, is it going to be part of this universe with the DCU? Is this why? Because we had somebody comment, one of our faithful subscribers there, my Superman 78, he commented and said, like, I've never seen Superman get his ass kicked so much, right? But is it because, first off, we have Ultraman, which we know is powered by kryptonite? Is it because kryptonite is more abundant in this universe now, and it's because of something like this? Would there be a tie-in? And then I'm like, I see him glowing gold, and I'm like, Superman 1 million, because we had an asteroid that came from the future. Now, granted, it's from the 31st century, whereas Superman 1 million is like the 853rd century or something, or 853rd century. Is crazy,
Right.
like, so I'm like, but is it something like that? Because we know that Superman 1 million, that's him or Superman Prime, that's him at his peak. He's virtually a god at that point. Could be. That's where my mind at least went.
Yeah, I just very interesting. How did that happen though? Like, what does that have to do? Like, why did that happen with a huge kryptonite asteroid? Why did that turn him? Anyway, one thing I wanted to point out that I never do is look at some of the last pages in these comics, like these interviews with artists and stuff. But I did read this section here that's in the back of this one. And this last paragraph of here says, Superman is still Superman. He's still the greatest superhero that ever was. He's still aspirational protector, both of Superman and Clark. You see that throughout this issue as well, him saving people at the beginning. That we can always look up to, but from this point on, everything is trickier and way more dangerous. Look for fallout of the kryptonite asteroid in Superman Unlimited and across the DC universe in 2025. So, to me, like you said, I think this is going to have ramifications across the entire DC comic book line, at
Well,
least that are in current time. So
I will say too, I meant to mention earlier that Dan Slott, who writes this, he's actually primarily a Marvel writer. Like he did Amazing
really,
Spider-Man. He's
okay,
done mostly Marvel. This is I don't think it's his first, but it's one of the few forays into DC that he's done.
cool.
Because like he is one, it's kind of like artists like Ed McGuinness. Like all of my tattoos are Ed McGuinness. He did
Mhm.
Marvel drawings and he did super DC drawings, so he's one of those few that kind of do both. But yeah, this series here is by Dan Slott, who again he's done a lot of the Spider-Man, but he's real heavy into Marvel. So
Cool.
have a little kind of crossover. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if that's going to tie into. We've got coming up here soon. Justice League Unlimited 7 has just released, so we'll be doing a
Mhm.
video on that. Continue that
Picked that up yesterday.
series. Do what?
So I picked that up yesterday. I haven't read it, but I picked it up.
I haven't read it yet either. It's been a busy, kind of crazy week. There's a reason why we're doing this video on a Saturday because we've had such busy weeks that we haven't even been able to get to them and all kinds of problems. But
Public service announcement: back up your damn phones. Just do that for me.
yes, do that for him because it's been kind of crazy on all that stuff. But guys, let us know down in the comments where do you think this is going? What do you think it means with him glowing yellow like that? Is it Superman Prime, Superman 1,000,000? What are your guys' thoughts when you first initially read that? Hopefully you read it before you watched this. If you didn't and you're watching this as your source to get comics, we definitely thank you for that because that means a lot, right?
It
That
does.
you just let us explain the comic to you and break it down. And if you've done all that and you've made it this far, you might as well go ahead and give the video a like, right? He's showing the little, all that good stuff. While you're there, subscribe to the channel. You might as well. We're continuing a full line. And, I know, guys, it seems a little weird over the last, say, 6 months. We got super heavy into the comics. It's because All In started all these new series, and we're able to, start off with you guys instead of jumping into the middle or end of another series. So that's why, now we kind of expanded into, because we definitely wanted to get into this. And it's been a great ride so far.
Awesome. We didn't even touch half of them either. There's so many series, so many books that have just started within the DC, like you said, that there's just not time to do them all.
I didn't even know. Mantis had just told me before we started recording. He goes, "Mr. Terrific's got a new series out." I'm like, "What?" I was not informed of it. Like, it wasn't at my comic book store. So, if there is a series though that you guys want us to do, one of the many that are coming out, especially on the mini runs, let us know. We can do a video, or maybe if it has to be a couple of little shorter videos, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mantis?
And if it, like you said, if you haven't read this issue of Superman Unlimited 1 and this is your first time here, or you want to get in and kind of follow
that
us,
fucker got a
with the rest
variant
of
cover.
Yeah, well, I just saw it on the shelf. It was just luck. It's one of the unlucky things I find. But if you are following with us and you are watching this as your quote unquote reading of it, we do appreciate that, like Cal said. But also make sure you leave a comment down below of this issue. What do you think is going to happen? And follow along with us because each comment does help the algorithm. I know we hate talking about it too, but it really does help us to get these videos out there so that we can get more people enjoying comic books with us. And yeah,
All right, Mantis, unless you have anything else, that is
That's
going to
it.
wrap it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC, guys. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Later.